to the Sunday afternoon chat. Uh, it's the solstice, so happy solstice to everybody. Solstice greetings. And it's also Father's Day, which is one of my favourite days of the year, Father's Day, because that's the day I tally up. One of my favourite hobbies is to tally up all the money I've ever saved in not paying child support. And but those of you fathers out there, happy Father's Day. Uh, what's So there's definitely a shift in energy. Things do feel better. I wonder if you feel the same way too. But there's definitely a nicer vibe today. I see all the Macrobista types came out yesterday for the 9/11, my 9/11 theory. Jesus Christ, don't take it so seriously. I don't have any power in the world. I'm not going. But it's amazing how many people are like so, "Ooh," and like they unsubscribe from my channel because he didn't say, he played I didn't play the fucking mainstream. What I did was I gave an alternative view. That's not the mainstream alternative view. That's all. So Jesus Christ, that was funny to see some of the reactions. Take it easy, relax. Enjoy life. That's what it's all about. So it's very changeable, the weather today, so the light will change in the camera. And so I hope everybody's okay. I see got already. Jeez, the minute I get in. So so happy Father's Day. Peace and abundance to you, Alien, and you and your husband's new adventures. I think that's a great thing what you're doing, and everybody's here. Cautious man. Oh, it was a full moon eclipse yesterday. Yeah, it was very interesting how it's all. It definitely feels like the madness that's happened at the beginning of the year has kind of now ended. It's almost like that. I went out this morning for a walk about 4 a.m. and I saw a load of bats flying up and down the road, and all around the trees and everything, loads of bats, beautiful little things, and you think when the thing started. In China, they said was bat soup. Now I see bats yesterday, so I take that as an augury of sorts that the bats that's probably the end of all the madness that began with ping pong soup with a bat in it, which is absolutely disgusting if you've ever seen it. It's fucking horrible. Yeah. So who's here? Holland, yes. Say hello, Holland. Big mad protest against the corona. Well, it's at the end of the month here is when the Rona is supposed to all stop. It's supposed to all stop here at the end of the month, and that's that's something I'm looking forward to. Do I need protection from radiation, Wi-Fi? Well, no. The best thing is to switch your phone off. I don't think there's a huge amount of radiation. That comes from phones and Wi-Fi. But if you're worried about those things, hey, Talak, just switch the things off. Switch them off. If you whatever, like your Wi-Fi routers, if that worries you, or your phone, just don't. That's all you have to do. There was nothing notable in Sheridan, Oregon. No, no. Isn't there a Sheridan, Wyoming as well? Yeah, you do wonder about a Wuma, don't you? Or if it shifted, changed consciousness or something. It was all a bit funny, that whole thing. Lots of bats at night in Spain. The birds are, yeah. Well, I've noticed though a lot of roadkill now that the traffic is coming back to normal. The animals got used to the roads being empty. Ayrshire, Stirling, both from Scotland. Stirling, I believe, is the only way into Scotland from England by armies. That's why so many battles were fought there. Paisley, they're all coming in now from Scotland. Leaving Spain, very uneasy feel at the moment. Yeah. Well, here the lockdown is nearly 99% finished. All the restrictions and everything by the end of this month. So hopefully the economic damage can be, I don't know, fixed. I doubt it. Glasgow, wow, loads of Scots here today. Victoria, British Columbia. Hey, Dave. From AV. one of the AV crew in England. Abundance of crickets. We don't have crickets in Ireland. I used to miss the sound of them. I wish we did. We don't have fireflies either. I used to love fireflies in America. Edinburgh, man, two Edinburghs, loads of Scots coming in today. Wow. London, hey Sarah. No stickers in Glasgow. How to protect myself from dark motivated actions? Well, it depends on who's doing it. If it's, you see, the thing is that you have to uncouple your energy. You have to uncouple your energy with dark negative people. And the best way to do that is to look at yourself in the mirror and see, if you're looking old, suddenly very old or drained of life, you've got to find out that these people are doing it. And the best way to do it is no contact. Just get rid of them, move on, find someone else, just delete them. And often a lot of things that we call anxiety or depression or being emotionally down is often a result of you being in the wrong social circle. And that social circle will have poisonous people in it. And even if they don't mean to be poisonous, they can often be poisonous and passively. And you have to get rid of them. It's simple as that. No mouth burkers in Ireland, yeah. Well, no, that's just I didn't see many the other day. The last few days in town, I've seen the people who are wearing face masks are actually standing up. Yeah, no, it's no contact ever again with people who are like that. Margate, England, 2% of Muslim, 10% on my had the clap. So it's changed a lot, hasn't it? It's the hype is definitely gone. No contact ever again was a Slavic thing that I saw on. It was called a banishment, a ritual. It was a kind of a banishment ritual they had in Slavic countries, where kind of if somebody was causing huge disruption in the community, they wouldn't talk to them, because then these people couldn't get any energy and they would leave the community. So it was almost like a hex of no contact. Carlisle here, pretty close to Scotland, yeah. William of Orange statue is still standing in the harbour. Yeah. I mean, it's funny how, like, the statue thing was just a fetish. That's all that was. And I think it was like a kind of a thing of weak men tearing down strong men. There was a lot of that thing to it as well. Is Trump going to be rise to be a saviour? Of course not. You must not have any saviours in your life. I like Trump because he's funny. I watched his speech last night. He had me in stitches. And he terrorises the right kind of people. And the mainstream media and the globalists. My tinnitus is, yes, the zinc got rid of most of it all the time. If I have a cold or a sniffles, it comes back. But the taking zinc really, really helped the tinnitus. Don't ask me how it did. Maybe electrical contact. Switzerland, 90 minutes in the pub, yeah. No, I'm not going to go to pubs until all the restrictions are gone, and they probably will be all gone by the end of the month. The government is just making this, and the civil servants are just making the stuff up as they go along. They're just making it up. That's exactly a true convoy. And Trump is not a Republican either. He is someone who people can point to and go, that's the way I feel. But they don't see him as a saviour. You should never have any saviours in your life. You never have them. The side boys are jealous of people who've accomplished stuff because they've done nothing. That's exactly right, Josh. Exactly right. They've done nothing. They hate the boomers because the boomers, and they're like, oh, the boomers left the world in pieces. No, they didn't. The boomers worked their asses off to get what they wanted. They made things. They made families. They didn't expect it for nothing. And that's why the boomers got what they got. It wasn't handed to them on a plate. And, tinnitus is not from the ears, though. That's the thing. Tinnitus is not from allergies, because tinnitus is not in your ears. It's in your brain. You don't hear it in your ears. Where am I going next? Nowhere. Well, I'm nowhere planned at the moment. I'm dying to get away, though. Nowhere planned. I'll visit some friends in Dublin when the county restrictions are up. Side boys are achievers because in the context of the way I mean it, they want a medal for taking a picture of their lunch. Shouldn't the boomers, their parents, have taught them better something? Well, no, not really. Well, you've got to make your own way in life. This is the whole thing this is the whole thing. You, you can't be depending on your parents to do everything for you. You have to make your own way in life. So people like my parents didn't do this for me, didn't teach me this. Well, so what? What are you, useless? They hate the actual achievers. Yeah, that's what it is. No, the Secret Glory film. No, I never heard that. I watched a movie from 2005 last night that was brilliant. Descent. If you haven't seen it, it's truly terrifying. It's about a bunch of women who go to North Carolina or somewhere like that in America, and they're English and Irish and Scottish, and I think there's one American in them, and they're going into a cave that's never been explored before, and it's absolutely brilliant, and it's an all-female cast, but it's not one of these things like, oh, an exciting all-female cast for a change, nothing like that. The acting is brilliant. If you haven't seen the movie Descent and you want the shit scared out of you, definitely watch it. It's brilliant. It's brilliant. I can't believe it's been out 15 years and I missed it. Finland. Hello, Finland. How to stop the lust for power. What's wrong with having a lust for power? No, I didn't see Descent 2. I didn't even know there was a Descent 2. Yeah, I think it all was filmed. So what was all filmed? Capitol Hill Autonomous Zone should be made here. It's already is, and it's already very funny. It's already extremely funny. Can you recommend any good British horror films? Well, there's loads outside the Hammer genre. There's loads of them. There's the Borderlands I just recommended. There's loads of them. Just off the top of my head, the Quatermass films. The Quatermass 3 one with John Mills is not a Hammer film. That's excellent. I think those films that there was one, the Hellraisers, the original Hellraiser. There's loads of them. The Ritual. The Ritual was okay. I liked the story. It was great. I didn't think it was amazing as people made out to be. It was good though. Some great acting in it though. It's funny. The Ritual was sort of like a male version of Descent in many ways. They're dealing with like running away from past trauma. Blood on Satan's Claw is a very good film. Yeah, Boris Johnson is. I don't trust. He's funny and everything. But you can't trust anyone in his position of power. A Dark Song. Well, that was an Irish film, but yeah. There was loads of horror films like the Tales that Witness Madness. That was a series of them, I think. In Joan Collins was in one where her husband falls in love with a tree. I'm just opening the door to let air in because I don't want the phone overheating. I don't watch TV. Yeah, John Mills. Watch Quatermass. You like it, Ralph? I thought it was great. But I was a kid when that was first out. I was still in high school and I absolutely loved it. How often do I make contact with what? With spirits? Never. I don't deliberately go looking for anything. They contact me and things happen, but I don't go looking for them. Castle Rock was the last TV show I watched that I really got into. Inverness, just it's like half of Scotland is here today. BBC is propaganda, always has been. Now that doesn't distract from the fact that it makes excellent. It has made excellent programs in the past, but literally, if you watch the BBC now, literally every second of it is propaganda. Rasputin the Mad Monk, is that the one with Christopher Lee in it? That's a great film. That you can see he had a lot of fun playing that role. No, the Blarney Stone, that's all bullshit. That's a tourist thing. That's not a megalith. That's something they made up to get tourist money. Who want to kiss a stone that like other people's mouths have been on? It's creepy. Ugh. I know they wipe it and everything, but you get like, I don't know. It's just creepy. No, I don't know anything about Jake Stratton Kent. No, sorry. 20 million miles to earth. Yes, that was quite a mass in the pit. A great film, classic. That was made by Hammer, I think. Though, yeah, it was. I think the statue thing is already over. I mean, it's just weird how the whole thing happened. It's just strange. I just don't understand it. It makes no sense to me. Obama was was just another neocon. He was invented by the neocons as the savior of humanity, and he was just put in there to give all these naive liberal type people hope that the world was going to be wonderful, and he'd become like the savior of humanity. And it was all a scam from the start. And although I had to say I knew, kind of felt it, but I still gave him a chance. I said, I want to see what happens. As soon as he appointed Hillary Clinton, I knew he was just the same old shit, and he turned out to be as bad as the neocons. 20 million miles to Earth and Quatermass in the Pit are the same movie. The 1960s colour version. There's also a black and white version made for the BBC TV from the late 1950s, I think. It's a different one, but 20 million miles to Earth is the Hammer movie release of of Quatermass in the Pit. The Teutonic Knights, just bastards who just went in and murdered, genocided Christians, pagans on behalf of the Pope. That's all they were. Like all crusaders, their job was to capture more land for the papacy, and they were driven by greed and bigotry. In Malta, it was the Knights of Saint John. That was the name of the order there, and you want to talk about powerful. You go anywhere in the capital of Valletta, it's like the whole city is a monument to the Knights of St. John. And if you go to the cathedral in Valletta, they have all these inlaid floors that are like, each one looks like a tarot card. It's incredible where the knights are buried, and they're in these mosaics, and it's amazing. And the power of that order, the Knights of St. John in Malta, is incredible, even to this day. That's why the St. John, they have a white cross, the St. John's cross. My ancestors were Templars, sorry. Well, they didn't Templars kind of betray the Pope, isn't that what they kind of like wised up or something? That's what went on there. The Templars aren't too bad. The Knights Templars went to Scotland, and they went around here too as well. There's loads of places in Ireland. Anywhere in Ireland with the name Temple before a Temple Bar, Temple Moor, um, and there's loads of them. Mount Temple. They were all settled by Templars. They're all Templar land. No, I never meditate. I don't like shutting my brain off. I don't trust it. It's dangerous too, for me anyway. What's your opinion of the Cathars, and do you believe well, the Cathars, I saw Lucifer there. I can't read it. Let me go back and see if I can find it. Do you believe we're connected to Lucifer archetype? Well, I've Sean Martin's book on the Cathars. I've two of them. The one by Sean Martin, as everyone's read, and the other one. And the Cathars were Christians. They were kind of like Neoplatonists, like the Bogomils, and kind of Gnostic, but not like the Gnostics, kind of like. And they had the same kind of belief that the God of the Old Testament was the devil, really. But Jesus, they believed in Jesus Christ had come to to expose the devil of the Old Testament for what he was. And So they were an interesting sect. They were very wealthy. That's what a lot of the main reason they were attacked by the Vatican in the Albigenese Crusade was because they had so much land and money, and they were doing so well. And that's the main reason they were attacked was just economic jealousy. They wanted what they had. I don't think they had any connection to Lucifer though, not that I'm aware of. Because Lucifer wasn't in the Bible at the time of the Cathars. Lucifer only entered the Bible in the King James Version, which is what, 1590 or something like that. Kess, New Zealand, The Devil Rides Out, but that's Hammer as well. And the book of The Devil Rides Out was great as well. Like I love all Dennis Wheatley's books. He drops, there's all kinds of thing dropped. We weren't invited into Wales, but was invited into Era, then named Ireland. I assume he's talking about the Templars. They had their fleet up in Donegal Bay. Culdees are an interesting bunch, yeah. The the Culdees were kind of like a mediary between Christianity and Druids, and they had a lot of power, it seems, as well, both with the Druids and with pagans and with Christians. So yeah, the interesting bunch, the Culdees, based out of Iona in an island between Ireland and Scotland. Newcastle. Hey Thomas, the stuff going on around the second wave, all this, yeah, it's bollocks, isn't it? They are. It's like it's like the way the truth has brought the archons into manifestation. They keep talking about negative things that'll happen. This is why they were all angry at me yesterday for that video that I made about my own theory of 9/11, because they had turned, they were so convinced of their theories of 9/11 that they turned them into a kind of an archon. And then it becomes a kind of a god they worship. It's like, you see it with the flat earthers as well. Yeah, that book, Not in His Image by John Lamb Lash, is a good read, I have to say. Well, there's loads of Templar stuff in that part of Ireland, down around Wexford, Waterford, and Kilkenny especially. Years after the Black Friday, where they were all massacred by arrested and massacred by Philip II, there was the Pope. There was letters being written by the Pope to bishops in Ireland, demanding to know why Templars are walking around Irish cities like Kilkenny, still wearing their non-secular robes. Do you think there was a real life Quatermass? Yeah, I'm sure there was. Well, they were a scientist like that wouldn't be allowed to exist today. They wouldn't be allowed to exist. The real life Quatermass would be people like me. Time travel is, yeah, it's totally possible. Time travel is when you think about it, it's totally possible. Time is just an illusion, really, that we generate to quantify entropy. But the thing is that a time machine is theoretically possible. The thing is, you can only travel back in time to the moment. See, people think if I have a time machine and go into the future, I can go into the past. You can go into the future, but you can only travel back in time to the moment when the time machine was built or switched on. So it's an interesting one. But you can't. See, the current theories at the moment is you can't go back. Say, if I built a time machine today, I couldn't go back in time to the 1800s. I can go forward in time, but when I'm forward in time, then I can go back in time to all the time in between when the time machine was switched on and where I went to in the future. So it kind of ties in with the whole thing that, is it a time machine or is it creating reality? Is it part of the quantum generative thing? It's very interesting. There's lots of interesting stuff online about time travel, and it's changed in recent years. They don't talk so much. Yeah, the Mandela effect stuff is really coming back, isn't it? They don't. The interview with a vampire thing is really a strange one. But time travel has become very philosophical in recent times. It's been more about that than physics. Very interesting. Very interesting stuff. Opens up a whole Pandora's box. Machu Picchu. I've never been there. I've no real desire to go there, to be honest with you. I mean, I'd like to go, but it's not. It wouldn't be near anywhere near the top of my list. There's lots more interesting megalith and ancient sites in Peru. Other than that, I think that one's really popular because it's so beautiful. But there's so much more interesting stuff there. To me, anyway, from watching Green Foresters videos, the best stuff, the best megaliths in Peru are. That's like that everywhere, isn't it? Like the best ones are usually the ones that don't get made famous. I don't know what every mission to film isn't. The Tiananmen film. I don't know what you mean by that. Fool's mission. The Tiananmen Square. What was that? The Tiananmen Square had students' law. Did you remember it? And at the time, oh, I remember it very well. I was living in New York in a place I was working in, and I remember I did a terrible thing. I was working. My best friend at the time was a guy called Robert Johnson. He was a black guy in New York, and we had this friend. I always remember his name. Was Alan Clark, Clarke. He was an Irish American guy, and he was very liberal. And we went. Me and my friend Robert were walking by the UN building when during Tiananmen Square. There was all the protests outside, and they had these Chinese dissidents handing out leaflets, and they had a list of their demands for the Chinese government, and on one side it said, uh, freedom of speech, and it was written in Chinese, freedom of speech. The next one was, right to assembly. Then written in Chinese, so a list, right, a list of the Chinese down one side and the English translation on the other. And myself and Robert got a typewriter and photocopied a typewriter and did a copy and paste thing, and put Chinese letters down the bottom. And at the bottom of the list, put chicken chop suey with rice. Like it looked like a Chinese menu. And we gave it to this guy Alan, and he's in the place. He's reading down the list. Oh, okay. He's reading, and we were watching. Two of us were sitting in the corner watching his face as he's reading down the list, and he's saying like, right, and then he goes, chicken chicken chop suey with fried rice. So that's what I remember about the Tiananmen Square thing. Yeah, pretty funny. Yeah, I always remember that. We'd taken the piss out of a liberal friend. What's Moldavite? I don't know what that on. The Kabbalon, I don't know what to make about that. It kind of reminds me of Simon's Necronomicon. It could be a hoax, but it still works. Even if Simon's Necronomicon is a fake, it still works. That's probably the most controversial. You want to talk about the most controversial book in magic, without a doubt, it's Simon's Necronomicon. I know people that like absolutely hate it and everything about it. Yeah. What's the significance of a totem? Well, I guess a totem is kind of like the version of an archetype, really, isn't it? When people say, the totem of such and such a creature represents this, they're really talking about uh, what it represents. H.P. Lovecraft asked me, did I get any dreams or nightmares about Velasburg Castle? Well, I told you all about that. I found it an amazingly unsinister place. It was just I expected to go into Velasburg Castle and into the crypt, the SS Cathedral, and I was on my own then. I locked the door and everything so the Germans couldn't get in, and I was walking around inside it, and I tell you, the atmosphere was not negative at all. It was very strangely comforting. So I have an impression that what rituals went down in there, they probably weren't necessarily evil, no matter who was behind them. But it definitely, the vibe was not nasty or evil or anything. It's the strangest. The Velasburg Castle should have been, because concentration camp prisoners were worked to death and everything. But that's not the. I mean, I didn't feel that at all. It's a very strange thing. Yeah, well, tulpas are real, but that's again, the the big thing with the Theosophist that was, and yeah, they are real. That's probably when you see a double or of someone or something like that. It could be something like that. That's happened to me a few times. A person that I had strong emotional connection to that I probably thought I'd never see again, and then one day I'd see them on the street, and that's happened to me like twice in my life. Is Cthulhu impacting on people? Yeah, well, until the Corona god came along, Cthulhu was the preeminent new god of this age. Very powerful, and I think a lot of the SJWs and all this madness that we're. If you read my book Sorcery, I said like the madness of this age is Cthulhu rising from the surface, and it happened around the same time that strange sound, the bloop, was heard in the South Pacific, well, in the southern pole of inaccessibility where Cthulhu was supposed to live. Cthulhu is now going to move center stage again as the COVID god diminishes. Corona, Ring of Fire. And that's interesting. Yesterday, there was also the corona around the eclipse, the solar eclipse. So so again, it kind of went full circle. Yesterday was a very kind of mass-like day, very kind of strong. Hi, Sarah. Very kind of strong mass-life day. There was a sense of ritual and purpose, and it definitely felt like. It definitely felt giant squid. I saw that thing. Yeah, it definitely felt like yesterday was there was something special about today. It feels different. Thank you, Oregon Thistle. I'm glad you joined the book. Stick a wig on Brian Rose and voila, Savile. Do they kind of look the same? I don't know. Yeah, loads. I don't know a lot about astrology, but there's a load of that kind of special stuff going on right now. That's right, Karen. It was your anniversary of you and your husband. Congratulations. Lovely day here today. Is Jehovah the Greek Roman pantheon? No, if anything, Jehovah would be almost closer to like a Titan, but a darker one. It I don't know who I don't know who Jehovah would be closer to like a demon, but like a dark Titan, something like a Leviathan or something like that. No, it wouldn't be comparable to as Jupiter or Zeus because it doesn't have those same human faculties that Jupiter and Zeus has. He's like there's an issue with women there, and Zeus loved the women, except Hera. Well, he did love her, but he didn't pay her. Probably didn't pay her enough attention. Who's Stuart Sturdlow? I don't know him. I'm sorry if I'm missing question. These things are flying up. And I think Jehovah is a demon. If I was to actually, after my own research into the topic, I'd say Jehovah was probably a Canaanite demon that infected the Canaanites, and it had a grievance, or it's a demonic form, and had a grievance for the previous gods such as Molech and Baal, and that's why these gods, these once very much loved gods like Baal, El, and Moloch, were attacked and hated within Judaism because this entity that had taken over the old Canaanite paganism, which became Judaism, had a great hatred for these other gods, such as Molech and Baal, and that's El, and that's why people to this day are still like going, "Oh, Molech, all Molech and Baal were fertility gods. That's all they were. They weren't just for like Lou of the long arm or, anything else. They were just fertility gods, and you have all these truthers. They cite, well, Molech, people sacrificed their children to him, burned alive, and then you look at the sources for this. What's the sources for this? Well, the Talmud, and yeah, you don't trust that, but you trust it when it comes to that, and Roman propaganda. Consider the source. Always consider the sources when you're looking at these, thinking about these things. What's the thing at Bohemian Grove? I did a video about that in Beyond Room 313. It's an owl, right? This is a thing. Like this is a problem here now. The truthers. They say, "Oh, Molech is an owl." No, Molech is a bull. An anamorphized bull. That's what Molech is. The owl thing, I don't know where they got the connection. I think the only place I can see that someone says that is Jordan Maxwell points to a picture. Yes, Rick has hit the nail on the head. The owl at Bohemian Grove is the owl of Minerva or Athena, the Greek goddess, or the Roman goddess. She's called Minerva, but the same goddess. And the proof that it's the owl of Athena and Molech is because on the entrance to the Bohemian Club, it says weaving spiders will not welcome here, or something like that. And that's what happened in the Athenian myth. She turned the weaver Chicane into a spider because she was making fun of the gods. So Bohemian Grove is a pagan temple, and the owl is not Moloch. I don't even know where people got that. That was made up. The owl is definitely Athena's owl, definitely, and the owl of Minerva, definitely. I don't know about that. I think, yeah, I mean, everything could be done by that. Good question, but I think Jehovah is an actual entity. It feels like a pale imitation of Freemason ceremony. Also, Albert Pike statue. Oh yeah, well, the destruction of Albert Pike statue. Wow, that's a big deal. The Black Lives Matter, that they will pay for that. The God of Freemasonry in Washington D.C. and it was the only Confederate. I think it was the only Confederate statue they got to or something. Oh well, that I wouldn't want to be a leader of Black Lives Matter now. They will be. You'll find all kinds. What Mark? Put your money on this. Mark my words. Because of the attack on Albert Pike's statue, the God of Freemasonry, and Albert Pike is a very interesting man. There's another one. Although Truders hate him, he did loads for people and good works. But anyway, he was anti-Christian. So on. Because of that Albert Pike statue being attacked, I'm going to make a prediction now. Expect in the next few months or time, or in a year, leaders of a Black Lives Matter being stitched up on paedophilia charges, mysteriously dying, uh, being murdered. I guarantee you. But they'll be what's the word? They'll be burlesqued before they're destroyed. I will guarantee you that you will so soon see in the media the leaders of Black Lives Matter being burlesqued before their destruction for what they did to the. That was a major, major screw up, turning over and tumbling the Albert Pike statue. Especially considering how powerful Freemasons are in America and in Washington D.C. Wow. Carl Jung or Sigmund Freud, all Jung every time Jung. Do you recommend any grimoires? I want to suggest something controversial. Simon's Necronomicon. It actually works, and it's one of the more easier grimoires to actually dive into. So although, uh, you know, Everybody except chaos magicians and hate it, but it still works. You can also work your way through Crowley's material from the beginning to the end. You can do that too as well. Yep, John Keel is absolutely right. A broken record in the always predicting the end of the world. Sky fairies, cults, all that. Yeah, yeah. Well, the aliens, the belief in alien salvation comes directly from Christianity. It doesn't exist for any other reason. Do I have any books in the pipeline? Yeah, I want to finish the book on Lovecraft next. I want to dive back into that. Hitler banned Freemasonry. Yeah, I was in the Freemasons Lodge in Darmstadt, and it was completely destroyed. Freemasonry. Young mystic, yeah, he was, but sometimes Young made mistakes and was on Julius Evola's writing. Yeah, brilliant, no problem there. Which Necronomicon? Simon's Necronomicon. That's the one. Simon, Simon Necronomicon. You can get it anywhere. It's even like mainstream bookshops have it. American Reindeer. I was thinking about American Indians the other day and how they're kind of left out of everything. It's almost like they don't exist. They're like, but some maybe they want it because maybe they're better off that way. But no one ever really talks about them much or anything. Simon Necronomicon, yeah. America's very Freemasonic, very, very Freemasonic, particularly the military, the Navy especially. Crowley book 4, yeah. Any like work your way through the Crowley stuff. It's good. And a good way before you get deep into grimoires is to just try things like talismans, and David Conway's book on magic is very good for that. You have to kind of build yourself up into a magical state. It just you just don't start and it begins. It's like learning how to play a musical instrument. It takes time to get, but there's lots of ways to get there. Just like if you're learning how to play guitar, there are people who'll sit down and copy YouTube videos. There's other people who pick up a guitar and they can play it right away, or figure out things very, very quickly. There's other people, like the way I learned how to play. I watched bands, and went to see bands live, and I used to ask people, like after the show, like bands playing in small places, and I would walk up to them and say, "Well, what is that chord? Where does your fingering go for that?" And that's how I learned how to play. And you can learn magic exactly the same way. You can be formal. You can have a tutor. You can learn it off the internet. You can learn it. You should learn it off books, though. Books are better. Learn it off books. But some people have a natural inclination for it. Lots of people have a natural inclination for it. Brisbane. Where did David Conway go to? I saw him on an interview in a show there a few years ago, but he basically just retired. The Course in Miracles is a very good book. It's very new agey, of course, but it's a good book. It's definitely it's better than The Secret. I saw tons of Freemasonic symbols when I was at the MEPs and whatever that is at the Minneapolis military base. I saw an image of Columbia and it looked like exactly like college. Yeah, yeah. The minute is every human a star? Yep, and that's exactly true. Every human is a star. Carlos Castaneda. Those books are quite interesting. Uh, he's kind of an interesting guy, and the whole Dan Wan thing was fascinating, and they were great reads back in the day. And I know people who got so sucked into that they were like almost obsessive about it. But he lived in a place in the desert with a load of these women who served him. And hey, Duncan, and there's nothing wrong with that. There's no harm in that. But they called them witches and stuff. There's nothing wrong with a man having not a harem, but a group of women. If they were up there by their own free will, or a woman having a bunch of males, it's just no harm in that. The sinister part was that these women, as soon as he died, they kind of died. There were suicides and their bodies were found, and it was a very strange ending to it. But back in the day, yeah, it was like the books were very interesting. Well, what he means, what Crowley meant by "we are a star" means that we are we are a force of energy and light, and we can take that star and make it brighter and use it to illuminate ourselves in the world. Well, hey, that's a good thing that Stonehenge has been closed. I'm glad, and I wish that would happen more often. You don't have these Wiccans doing Hebrew rituals at stone circles, or some guy calling himself a druid who looks like, with a tiara and a cloak, who looks like he's been an extra in the Borough and Furnace Amateur Drama Society's production of Camelot the Musical, calling himself a druid. The bornless one, the headless one, that's a... Be back. Dealing with the heat and trying to keep it where it gets some air to it. I cut out again. I'm just going to end the video, as it is. But that's what happens there. It's cutting out because of the heat. It gets roast hot. I've got a heat sink from an old computer. I should kind of like stick it on the back of this when I'm doing these kinds of long videos. What's I just refreshed? Yeah, no, the feed cut out. Oh, what's your opinion of pagans calling upon Hebrew demons and stuff? They're not pagans. It's as simple as that. Why? How could you call yourself a pagan if you're summoning uh, Hebrew entities? Tony, see, I love your talks. Thank you, Tony. Offline. How is Ian? I just assume he's okay. His he's been, what you call it. He's been posting, so he's okay, I guess. I was born in Dublin, and I still go back and forth there. I have a place where I can stay there, in a very posh part of the city, which I sometimes take advantage of. One of my celebrity friends, which I actually surprisingly I have quite a few of, which I can't go public about. But yeah, I have a few celebrity influential friends who were fans and became friends with them. I hate the word fans though. You've all gone. Here we go. Yeah, Geldof. Bono. I'm not mates with Jim Core. I know Jim. I've never met him, but I've just chatted to him online and stuff like that. He seems like a nice man. It's not a camera, it's the phone I'm using, and the processor just heats up. Did the Templars go to Switzerland? I'm sure they did. I've seen that guy's videos, Octagon. His videos are quite good. I don't know how accurate or true most of it is, because a lot of it's conjecture. But that doesn't take away the fact that he makes some very interesting videos and made interesting points. I don't know who Niall Bolan is. Can I explain the gist of Marxism? Yeah, Marxism is just and this includes socialism, communism, and all the other ones under that umbrella. is a scientific, including National Socialism of the Hitler. Marxism is a scientific philosophy that treats a society and a culture in terms of its production, in terms of labor, capital, and the distribution of wealth. The purpose of it, that's what it really is. Now, people say, oh, socialism is about helping the poor. No, socialism is about a scientific management of society. Now, what happens is when you have a communist system or like that, I will do, Duncan. Yeah, I'll give you a call. When you have a system like that, you have humans reduced to nothing more within the economy than machines, because they're just tallied up according to economic necessities. That's really what it is. It's an economic philosophy, and this economic philosophy ultimately the government controls the market. So everybody essentially works for the government, and all companies are supplied to government. The government is the only contractor, and the idea is this: that like if the government wants 1,000 tractors, well, instead of like in capitalism where you'd have tractor companies put a tender in, put a tender in to sell tractors to them, the government controls both production, supply, and demand, and the theory is there's no losers, but there's no winners either. But the biggest downfall of the communist system is that it treats people like machines. It dehumanizes them to a certain extent, and individuals are not fully respected for their talents. And so people who are brilliantly talented and people who are idiots have the same chance of success in a communist society. And that's just not how nature works. How are you, Linda? Hello, Harry Lemon. Is it Harry Lemon? Harry? Another person in Holland? Yeah, so that's why I'm against Marxism, because it's against nature. It's against human nature. It's against nature in whole. Have I met Jim Fitzpatrick? No, I haven't actually. I'd love to. I bet he has some great stories about Finland. Milo Yiannopoulos, is that what you're talking about? Interesting guy, smart, intelligent guy. Don't really, wouldn't be. I wouldn't. I don't like the alt right stuff. I don't like. I don't. I'm not a conservative. I'm not. So it wouldn't be my thing. Well, he's a funny guy though. I mean, he's a smart, very intelligent, well-spoken man. Jim Davison, the comedian. I'd like to meet him. Well, you probably find out that he did a and now she is manic on the BDPX. Now is manic. One thing I should undo with that. No, no, you should let the BDPs, the borderlines, destroy themselves. The borderlines always destroy themselves. And the best way to get a borderline to destroy themselves is do what I did and pretend they've destroyed you and feed them their sense of that they won. And you'll see them for what they really are. They don't back down. They want to, if they think you're dying, they want to dance on your grave. And so what you do is you feed the borderline what makes the borderline happy. You pretend, but you being destroyed or pretending you're being destroyed. That's what I did. And then you see, then you have no, then they could, where a normal, healthy woman would just sit back and say, okay, I got him, fuck him, he's over. The borderline female wants to dance on your grave and continue doing it. It's a great way of confirming if someone is a borderline female. They will not stop the wickedness. They will not. They will not. They don't want. Winning isn't enough. Absolute annihilation is what they're after. Then you have proof that you're dealing with a borderline and it's not a proper human being, and then you can do whatever you want. Ignoring them for the rest of their lives, but because they will destroy them. All borderlines destroy themselves, so you don't have to do anything. That's just how they are. They always destroy themselves. I've never not come okay because they cannot put the brakes on. That's how you tell. That's how you, if you want to diagnose a borderline from just basically a nasty woman, is let pretend that they've destroyed you or damaged you or finished you off, and tell them that. And if they keep on doing it, you're dealing with something that's absolutely evil, pure evil, and that's an extreme borderline evil person there. And yeah, that's confirmation. That's where if they were just an angry, non-disordered woman, they would just say, "Fuck it, it's done. But I've had enough." But a borderline is sexually excited by it. The borderline is so dysfunctional that it will make public displays of sexual mania, sexual excitement. And any man they're with, they'll have them do things like burn them with lighted cigarettes and real Fred and Rosemary West stuff. That's the kind of thing. And let them destroy themselves. They're not human. 232 viewers now. Hatman. Yeah, that Hatman thing is an archetype. It's one of the shadow people thing. Very, very interesting. I think there's a connection there with the Sandeman Port ad. If you look on my Open Source Occult TV channel, you'll see I have made a video about Hatman, and I think it entered into the Western consciousness, particularly in this part of the world, through those Sandeman Port ads. And he's also on the Sandeman Port bottle, but he was also sold as memorabilia, a little black Sandeman Port plastic figure. It was even a decanter that was shaped like him. I've always wanted to buy them, but they always seem to be expensive on eBay. I remember the first job I ever had was collecting glasses in a bar when I was about 16, and they had the Sandeman port behind the counter, and the spout that they poured the measures of port with was shaped like the Sandeman. It was made of plastic. Yeah, Debbie Harry and Videodrome. Yeah, they yeah, they're turned on like the Fred and Rosemary West thing, like a low life mundane couple into extreme nastiness and viciousness. Happy glad miss, as they say in Sweden, glad midsummer. The Justice card. Well, the Justice card is really the karma card of karma. That's what that represents, karma. And it's not necessarily. Oh yeah, feminism is borderline in a kind of a modern feminism is borderline in a kind of a regulated sense, group sense. What are they test? Sorry, Josh, just saying MEPs are testing you for what? I'm going to do another magic. I'm glad you brought this up, Josh, Jason. I'm going to be doing. Everybody, listen to this now. I'm going to be doing a magical Egypt workshop on magic, and I'm donating all the money I make to a family in Scotland with a severely disabled child to pay for transport. They have to have the car has to be set up in a certain way. So I'm going to give I'm going to as part of a fund. I'm going to me and another lady are setting up. I'm going to do the magical Egypt magic workshop, and I'm going to give my fee to this family with a severely disabled child in Scotland, and you'll be able to. So if I want you on that, and I want you to, to be like the other one. There'll be a recommended $5, €5, £5 fee. But if you can give more, all of it will go to this family that need a special car for their child that they can't get, and want to, so they can go on holiday. The reason is they can't go on holidays, and they want to be able to drive around Scotland and England and drive over to Ireland and stuff like that, but they need the right car for it. So yeah, that's so when I announce this, if you can give more than the five, remember it's going to help. Now it's not going to a charity. It's not going to some fucking CEO in a charity. It's going directly to the family. I'm going to give them cash, and other people are doing other things, like they're setting up raves, and a few other things are going to go on. But I want to give them my fee from that talk to the family. So remember, when I announced that, it's going directly. It's not going to some fucking, the Scottish Association for this, that, and the other. It's going directly to the family. So remember that. So when I announced that Magical Egypt, magic workshop, that's remember.